What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I'm here tonight with a review for How to Get Away with Murder, Season 6, Episode 7, and it's titled, I'm the Murderer. So you guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump into the video. Alright, you guys, so the episode opened, we saw Annalise. Annalise was on the phone with Robert, and Robert is trying to set up another date with Annalise. I'm like, Annalise, he wants you, and he wouldn't even gave him the punani. So then, we saw New West. New West was looking at handguns, and I'm like, wait a minute, why is he looking at handguns? And then we saw the kids. So, excuse me, y'all. So yeah, the kids. We saw, they have set up cameras in the crib, and it's basically to catch, if the Castillos try to come and kidnap them, they will have them on camera. So then Robert is telling Annalise, like, yo, Robert is laying it on thick, like, he really trying to go on a second date with Annalise. And I'm like, damn, y'all didn't even really have a first one, but he trying to get it, Annalise. And then we also saw Frank. So Frank was working out, and Bonnie was like, you gotta stop, or you're gonna get a hernia. I'm like, He went from looking like death to looking like Man of Steel. And then, while Annalise is on the phone with Robert, someone is at the door, and she's like, wait a minute, hold on, Robert. It's like, what's going on? She said, there's someone at the door. So she goes to the door, and the woman, I forgot what the woman said her name was, but she's looking for her Airbnb, and she's like, the penthouse that she's looking for, she's like, that's it, right across the hall. And the woman's like, oh, okay. Excuse me. So then Annalise, later in the episode, we saw her that she called Robert, and she agreed to go on a date with Robert. So then we see Annalise on her date with Robert, and Robert has set everything up, and he wants it to be very simple for her. And Annalise and Robert are having a conversation, and Robert tells her that he wants to make this a real-time dating thing. I'm like, oh, Annalise, you better get that in while you can. So, because she asks him why. And then, he tells her, I think he said with his two exes before, and he's talked to a therapist, they told him if he ever wants to experience, share his real love with someone, he needs to do that. And he feels like maybe she could be that person. And then we later see in the episode, this is actually toward the end of the episode, where Annalise, they are still talking, and Annalise was telling him at first, like, I'm not who you think I am, you don't know me. But then we do eventually see, he said, how about we dance? And she agreed to dance, and then, he at first is like, you're leading, and then she finally gave in, and she let him lead. I'm like, uh-oh. So Annalise can let her guard down. Interesting. I mean, that was cool to see that she let her guard down. I don't know if she should trust Robert, but we shall see. Now, New West. So we see that New West is in the class, and he's leading the class today. And none of the kids want to listen to him. Michaela, because he asked Michaela to be come up there and be his assistant. She's like, no. And Lisa said, didn't I say we're doing things different today? So get your ass up there and do it. So when she gets up there, New West was like, Michaela Pratt, Miss Pratt, she's wronged me so badly that he wants her severely punished. He asked, so what could she have done to make me want her to be punished so badly? So then it flashed back a month, and we see that she broke up with him a month ago. So then we flash back to where we are now, and he says that, she shot his son. And, so he was saying that they could do a trial and push for the death penalty. But, then he started having the other students tell what they would do. And actually another girl says, well, you could hire a hitman. He said the legal route. And so he thinks that she should face the victim's family in a public forum, which is called restorative justice. I'm like, oh, I've never heard of that before, but cool. So then we see they're talking about the client. So the client, he wants to plead guilty, but New West tells him, like, dude, you could face up to 25 years in prison. And then New West, he's talking about how he had a gun hidden in his class because he was fearful of one of the students going on a shooting rampage and shooting up the school. So then in the class, they're going over the case. They're giving 3 points about what to do, and then they come down to saying what they need is they need the grandparents' approval. And everybody's talking about what they could say to get the approval from the grandparents. And Asher says, maybe we should just sit down and talk to them from the heart. And then Lisa's like, okay, Mr. Millstone, you're coming with me. We're going at 2. Meet me at my office. So then we do see Annalise and Asher, so they are talking to the grandparents. And so the grandparents, basically what they want is for the teacher to have life in prison. And then Asher tells them about his dad, committing suicide, how that broke his family apart, and how they haven't talked to each other, how they haven't had any closure. And at first it looked like it was going to work, but the grandmother, she wasn't here for it. So then Annalise tells them if they do decide to go to trial, that it won't be a trial against David, which is the teacher. It'll be a trial against Ryan, who is their grandson, because she says we have witnesses who are willing to come forward and say that he did this in self-defense. He was acting in self-defense. So basically, they're just going to rake the dead grandson over the coals. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of fucked up. So then, we see Asher. He went back to where the kids, went back to CNG where the kids were. He was just gloating about everything. And I'm just like, what are you gloating about? So then we, New West and him were kind of having a little bit of a pissing match. And Connor's like, damn, what kind of, you must got the golden puss, huh? To Michaela. And then she was like, huh. And then she looks at it, she's like, what is he doing? And it's Oliver on camera. He said, yeah, he's putting on a little bit of a show for me. She's like, oh, let me see. He says, no, you already got 2 men fighting over you. I'm like, I don't know if I would call those 2 men, but okay. All right, so then let's move over to the hearing. So at the hearing, we see that, some of the students are speaking on behalf of the teacher, and then there's a teacher that was there as well. So the students are talking about how, with the teacher, how he had the gun, but, he had reason to have the gun because, the student that was killed, they were saying he was a bit of a bully. He was not nice, and then they also said that, the day in question, he went into his he went into his backpack to pull out something. So the teacher thought that he was pulling for a gun, but instead he was actually pulling for his phone. So that gave him reason to, do that. It gave him justifiable reason to, think, hey, he's going in his bag, pulling for a gun, like Columbine, Sandy Hook, all these Virginia Tech, all these shootings, so it definitely, makes it a little bit more understanding. And the teacher, she's like, I don't know if it was, deliberate or it was intentional or not. But what I do know is that that Ryan, he was reaching in his bag and he was actually going in his bag to take out his phone to show a picture of this the teacher. He was on the gay dating app and he was going to expose that. So she feels like the teacher did that to shut him up because this is a Catholic school and it wouldn't look too good. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then Annalise is, talking to him, and they're asking him, so did you sleep with him? He said, no, I never slept with him. He says, what happened is, he was in class, he was in detention one day, and I had my phone out, and my phone went off. A message came from the app, and he saw that, and he knew that I was gay. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then we see the kids, they're talking about David, and Connor said he knew that David was gay. And then, they go down memory lane of Connor's guys. And then Ash is like, he believes him, but the others are not so much believing in him. And Ash is just talking about, I think the reason why Ash is believing of him because of the situations going on with him and his family. And, he also says to them, he did not know what they did to Sam. I'm like, we're mentioning Sam again? We are mentioning Sam. Sam Keating. We're bringing up Sam. Okay. So then let's move over to New West. So New West went to Michaela's damn crib talking about, it's so hard for me. Like, I don't have anybody to talk to. And if I call my mom was probably going to tell me, I told you should have came back home. So I don't really want to do that. And basically, he's making this all about him. And Michaela looks at him and was like, wait a minute. Why are you making this all about you? This is not about you. Snap the hell out of it. And he asked her, so like, what happened between me and you? And she says, I told you I needed time. I'm like, yeah, you needed time, all right, to think about having sex with Asher. Oh shit, y'all, I got hiccups. So then we do see New West, and New West is talking to the grandparents, and he wants them to let Davis, speak his truth. And the grandmother again not feeling it. The grandfather was kind of coming around, but the grandmother not so much. So then Annalise tells them, like, I understand your pain 100% because I once I had a child as well. He was killed in the hit. I was involved in the hit and run. He was killed, and basically all Annalise wanted was for the person that killed her son to say that they were sorry. I'm like, that grandma don't look like she just wants an apology. That grandma looks like she wants him to serve some damn time. So then we see, so then Luke West and her are in the car. He says, so the baby that you had, was it with Sam? She says, I'm surprised Vivian didn't tell you. And she tells him, you know what? I know why you're taking on this case so hardly. She says, this is because you want to confess to killing your mom's ex. He says, you're wrong. I'm like, no, she's not. Annalise is hardly ever wrong. But if you want to say she's wrong, we'll go with that. But Annalise isn't wrong. So then we see the grandparents. So the grandparents are telling how they feel. And like I said, the grandfather's heart is, the grandfather is thinking along the lines of what the Bible says. And he wants to get to the point of forgiving him. But the grandmother, she's not on that level. Like she lost her daughter, and then she lost the last thing that was close, she lost the last piece of her daughter, which was her grandson. So, the grandmother is just not here for it at all. And she just wants him to suffer in jail. So then we see Annalise, she's talking to David, and Annalise is telling David, like, she understands where he's coming from about this whole not wanting to come out the closet. But what he needs to do now is he needs to express himself to everybody. And he's like, but nobody's going to, even if I do that, they're not going to listen to me. She said, let this be the last time you tell yourself that lie. So then we do see David. He's, talking to the grandparents, the judge, and everyone. And he's telling his truth, and he does apologize to the grandparents. And I'm like, I felt like it was a sincere apology. I don't know. I don't believe that the man killed the boy because the boy knew he was gay. I think he said, could that have been a possibility? Could that have been it? Possibly, but he doesn't know that. You know, I do believe. I mean, in this day and age, and I have to say it, in this day, age, and time, you just don't know when it comes down to something like when it comes down to these school shootings. You can't put I hate to say it, but you can't put a lot past anybody at this point because like the Columbine, like I remember that one distinctly. Like that is the very first one that I know, but I remembered that one, and that one was I was a little kid, but I just remember watching that all over the news. Then the Virginia Tech one. Now that one was truly scary. The Virginia Tech shooting so fucking scary to me because I was actually in that was my sophomore I think that was my sophomore. It was either my freshman or sophomore year of college, and I was at that point where I was wanting to go off to a different school in another state. So I definitely remember the Virginia Tech shooting. Like that one scared me so much that I said, you know what, I don't want to leave home right now because that frightened me. And then the Sandy Hook shooting, which was horrific. It's just like you don't know what you can't. I hate to say it, but you just cannot put anything past anybody these days. Like if he was, because they said he was a loner and stuff, so he was a loner. And I'm not saying people who are loners will be serial killers because sometimes the people they say they'll say they never saw it coming. They were so funny, so fun, jovial, life of the party, but then they I don't think they just snapped. They probably already snapped, but they were just playing off like they were sane, and then they just they let things stay in their brain, and then over time it just manifests, and it just turns. So but I definitely understand it. It would be kind of scary if a person, and it depends on how he went for his backpack. Like if he went like this, I'd be like, what the fuck you got? But if he was like, if he was just unzipping it and he opened it, then that would be a different story. But if he opened it as if he was really about to pull something out to do something, I can understand it. So, I hope I'm making sense with that. So then we do see Michaela. So she goes up to New West and she tells him, you were right about why we broke up. She says, I actually did cheat with Asher a month ago. So then Asher comes out and he tells them that the judge has, made he has his sentence. So they go in and the judge says they're going to stick with the original plea of 20 years for the murder and another 5 years for the him having a gun. So, 25 years altogether. And then New West, he's upset. He's like, so that was a waste of time, huh? And then was like, no, it wasn't a waste of time. She said it was actually, it saved the taxpayers a lot. It saved, some of the taxpayers' dollars. So, no, it wasn't a waste of time. And good job. So then we see, New West. He goes up to Michaela. He tries to tell her, like, it's okay. You mess with Asher. It's cool. And Asher, oh, God. I don't know if Asher got on my nerves. It's like Asher trying to defend Michaela's honor. I'm like, you can't defend her honor, but okay. And then these two get into a fight with each other. I'm like, you two look plumb fucking stupid. And then we do something later in the episode. New West is in his apartment looking at his face, and Asher got the frozen vegetables up to his eye. I'm like, exactly what you dumbasses get. You look stupid. All right, you guys. So let's talk about my girl Tegan. So Annalise went to Tegan's office. Nate is in Tegan's office. Nate and Tegan are telling Annalise that they're going to do a wrongful death case in little Nate's murder. And Annalise is like, no, because they said that they're going to name the governor in it. And she's like, absolutely not. Like, if we do this, the governor's going to hit back. And when she does that, she's going to start digging and she's going to find things that we don't want to be put out. So she says it's not a good idea. And then Nate tells her, like, with or without you, at least, we're going to do this wrongful death case. And Tegan's like, whoa, 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 calm down, calm down, calm down, calm down. Like, how about we all sleep on this, and then we will see if we are naming the right people in this suit. And again, Nate says, what is going to happen with or without Annalise's help? So then we see Annalise, she's talking to Frank, and she's telling Frank that this cannot happen. We cannot let Tegan file this wrongful death case. So what I need for you to do is I need for you to scare Tegan and make it a good scare. And she says she's saying she needs bad Frank. And I'm like, okay. So then we do see Frank. So he's at home with Bonnie. And he tells Bonnie he was on a job. And then Bonnie says that she was working with Nate on little Nate's wrongful death suit. And basically again, Nate will do it with or without Annalise's help, despite, what's good for them not doing this to not bring attention to them so that the governor will just go the hell away. So then we later see Tegan. So Tegan went to her car. When she got in her car, on her steering wheel, there was a taped flash drive. So then we see her with Annalise. She's showing Annalise what's on the flash drive. So it's photos of Cora. And Tegan is like, maybe I should call Cora and tell her what's going on. And Annalise is like, no, do not do that. That is what they want you to do. So they're trying to pretend as if this is the Castillos who is doing this. And, Tegan is, what did she say? She's like, Xavier thinks he's scaring me, and he's doing it. And we see Annalise. She's telling Frank, "Thank you so much, Frank. I'm happy that you brought bad Frank back." He said, "Well, actually, this was good Frank because good Frank is scared about losing the love of his life." And she was like, "Who is that? Laurel?" He says, "No." She says, "Bonnie?" He says, "Yes." She said, She says, "I don't agree. I don't agree with that because I feel like you're gonna hurt her." And I'm like, huh? Now all of a sudden, Bonnie is the love of his life. Bonnie is the love of his life, but he's been pining away for Laurel for weeks and months. But okay. Dumb as shit. So then we see Tegan, and she's asking Nate, like, what are your secrets, Nate? He says, "I don't have any, so you're all good. You don't have to worry about anything." She says, "That's one thing that a lawyer does not want to hear." So then she says that, she knows that the FBI was investigating him. And he says, "Yeah, all they did was just brought me up for questioning." So then we see Bonnie come in. She's like, what the hell is she doing here? Like, I fired her, he said, and I asked her to come here. She says, she does not work here. He says, "Well, you fired her because of me, so I would like for her to come on." And he says she worked for the DA's office when Miller set my pops up to be murdered. I'm like, okay, this is not going to bode well. So then we do see Tegan later in the episode. She tells Nate that basically She can't do this wrongful death case with him because, like I said, they threatened. He said, "Is this because of Annalise?" She says, "No, it's because of the Castillos because they've sent me stuff about Cora, and I can't do it." He's like, "You know what? I understand." I'm like, "Do you, Nate? Do you?" But okay, we're gonna move on, you guys. All right, you guys, and then to close everything out. So Tegan, she calls Cora, leaves Cora a voicemail. Then she calls Annalise, leaves Annalise a voicemail because Annalise is, on her date with Robert. So then we see Bonnie. So Bonnie tells Frank that, she was working with Nate on this case. She said he was going to do it with or without Tegan or Annalise. So I just automatically jumped in and, I did it. And then it did flashback and it showed him saying that, again, he's going to do it with or without their help. And Bonnie says, well, you know what? I'll do it. So then we see that Bonnie did file the case, the wrongful death suit, and she did name the governor. So the governor has solved this as well, and she's talking to Xavier, and she's like, "Who is Bonnie Winterbottom?" And it's like she's someone that works with Annalise, and she says, "You know what? Give me everything that you have on Ms. Winterbottom and bring it to me." So then we see him get out the car. He calls his assistant, and he tells her, "I need for you to give me everything that you have on Bonnie Winterbottom." So then we also see that. So remember earlier in the episode when the woman was looking for her Airbnb. Well, it wasn't a person really looking for the Airbnb. It was Xavier's assistant, basically stalking Annalise. So then to close the episode out, you guys, we see Connor and Oliver, and they're watching Asher. And then Connor is like, I didn't tell you everything about Sam. He's like, okay, so what is it? And he tells him, well, I'm the one that chopped up Sam's body. I said, oh wow. Oh, we went there. And then we see if it, it fast forward, it rewinds back, fast forwards, whichever one. I don't know. It went to the present. So we see Oliver at the police station, and we see Frank there. So Frank is trying to talk Oliver off the ledge, telling him like, "Come on, sweet O, let's go." So when they get ready to go, Oliver runs back in and said, "I did it. I'm the murderer." I'm like, okay, whatever, Oliver. But you guys, that was How to Get Away with Murder. So be sure to like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you know that when I drop videos. Also, I think that's it. I think that's my closing. I think that's the closing. Yeah, I believe that is it. Also, you guys, so next week we got one more episode before the fall finale. Oh, and one more thing. If you guys would like to follow me off of YouTube, my social media handles are below. I know of my Snapchat. I don't know my Snapchat by heart, so it's in the description bar. My Twitter is JB underscore the underscore CEO. My Instagram is the same as my name on here, Jbsayzwhat with a Z. And like I said, everything else is in the bottom. It's in the description bar. I have an email where you guys can email me if you want to. And my Snapchat is there as well. So until the next video, you guys, later.